Hello, it's a lovely good evening from here in Delhi, and hope that each one of you, as always, are absolutely fine. These are Corona times, and during this Corona cauldron, we always actually pray for your well-beingness, and may the Almighty actually keep you in best of shape. That's our what we call ardent wishes. So on such note, we begin what we call this particular Ind AS, which you can see flashing on your screens, that is Ind AS 116. So Ind AS 116, of course, it deals with leases. Now the word leases should not be unfamiliar to you, because each one of you have done it in your earlier phases of education. Correct? Earlier you studied existing standard AS 19, which dealt with leases. Then some of you might have actually done Ind AS 17, which also dealt with what we call leases. But now this Ind AS 17 has been replaced by this new accounting standard Ind AS 116. So Ministry of Corporate Affairs has notified this particular standard on 30th of March 2019, as you are already aware of it. Now this particular standard has become absolutely lengthy, it is complicated, it is formidable at the same time, but up to an extent, I must surmise that this particular standard has become extremely interesting. Earlier leases were quite boring, to be very honest with you, but now it has become very interesting. But at the same time, it is very long standard, and if I'm not wrong, nearly there are 116 pages in the what we call exposure draft itself, or in the original draft of this particular standard. As usual, we on our side can assure you that we will leave nothing to chance, and we will strive hard to make it what we call as assimilable, as easily understandable as possible. Correct? So on such note, we begin this particular standard, but at the same time, in order to understand the what we call complexities and the tediousness and complications which are involved in this particular Ind AS, we need to dig very deep, and at the same time we have to dig the past also, because sometimes it becomes mandatory for us to have a good knowledge of the past, so that what we call the future becomes a little bit more what we call comprehensible for us. What the point actually I intend to nail down is that actually we need to have a bit of idea regarding existing standard AS 19, or for that instance Ind AS 17, because earlier they used to dealt up with this particular what we call concept leases, but now, as I said, it has been replaced by this particular standard Ind AS 116. Correct? So at the same time, we need to have a good grounding of the earlier what we call standards which dealt with the leases, and of course then we will be in a better position to know why this change has been brought about, why this particular standard has replaced the erstwhile means earlier, that is Ind AS 17. So all these issues we are going to discuss as usual at great length, great possible, widest length, whatever is possible within our knowledge and with our experience. We'll try to actually make it as simple what we got as possible. So on such prefacing note, I'm going to start this particular standard. So please pull out your pen, pencil, needless to add, and of course your writing pad, so that we can start this particular standard. So here we go, Ind AS 116 leases. This is the new standard, very interesting, long, complicated, strong, but extremely formidable standard, and very important and significant from the examination point of view. I'm sure that somewhere inside of my heart, I mean to say, that questions may be tossed up from this particular what we call standard, in spite of the fact that it happens to be new. Correct? So we start on such note. So before we start, as I said, we have to dig the past also, but before I start, let me actually just surmise it this way. As far as leases is concerned, we know that earlier as far as leases is concerned, correct? Position prior to 30th of prior to, if I'm not wrong, 30th March 2019. What exactly was the position prior to 30th March 2019? Prior to 30th March 2019, as I said a moment ago, existing standard AS 19 used to deal existing standard. When I am writing AS, it means existing standard. AS 19, and at the same time Ind AS IND AS, which has been replaced. Remember one thing, IND AS 17 used to deal with this particular concept, leases. Now the position after what we got 30th of March 2019 is what? Position after 30th of March 2019. That means what is the present position now? Correct? So present position is that existing standard AS 19 is still dealing with this particular concept. That means as far as existing standard is concerned, there is no change. It hasn't been replaced as far as existing standard is concerned, but IND AS 17 now has been replaced by IND AS 116, and this IND AS is absolutely ditto copy of IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard 16. I have already told you that all such IND AS which are completely based upon International Financial Reporting Standard carry a series of 100. Suppose if an IND AS is based upon IFRS 2, let us say, then our series number will be 102. Correct? So we have kept a series of what we call 100. So corresponding to IFRS 16, IND AS 116 is there in India. I have already told you it is almost ditto copy. There is hardly what we call any carve-outs, barring one or two. Otherwise, this is absolutely similar to IFRS 16. So students of International Bodies Examination, if you are watching these particular lectures, so you too can derive great mileage, correct? But at the same time, before we dwell upon IFRS 16 straightway or IND AS 116, and sometimes most of us commit this folly because of lack of patience, you can say, it is very important because it is completely new standard. We need to understand, first of all, mere superficial study, I am not quite what we call a great admirer of that, correct? We need to find out and trace out the what we call background stories, why this particular standard first of all was introduced, why there was need of it, what exactly were the deficiencies in the standard which earlier were what we call governing the concept of leases. So these answers we can trace out only when we shall have a bit of idea of the standards which earlier dealt with what we call leases. So that's the reason I'm pulling you back in the past first, then we will move into the territory zone of leases. Is it clear to you or not? So right now that means in the initial stage of discussion, I'm not talking anything about IND AS 116. I'm simply giving you a recap of the existing standards AS 19 or for that instance IND AS 17. So I'm just pulling you back. So I'm writing here recap of it is a sort of recap of AS 19, or you can say IND AS 17. Correct? This is a recap and we need to understand it, because then only we shall be able to comprehensively understand the core issues which are given in what we call IND AS 116. So in the beginning itself, I cannot tell you what changes it has brought about, why these changes have been brought about, because even if I would tell you, you won't be able to comprehend. That's the reason actually we have to take a bit of pause. So that's what we call patience we need to have. So now I'm also presuming that you are not having any knowledge of AS 19 and IND AS 17. I'm presuming it this way. I know that you are at a level when each one of you are very well what we call acquainted with the concepts of AS 19 or for that instance IND AS 17. But in spite of that, I'm starting this particular session with the presumption that none among you has got what we call great knowledge of AS 19 or IND AS 17 on this presumption, correct? Now suppose I'm teaching you first time accounting standard 19. So I will teach you this way as I normally do. Then I have already told you after recapping all these concepts, then we'll move into the territory zone of IND AS 116. Is it clear to you? So presuming that Mr. A is an owner, correct? Mr. A is an owner and he holds a property. Mr. A is an owner and he holds a property. Let us say Mr. A is owner of a property. Owner of a property. Correct? Mr. A. He enters into an agreement with Mr. B. He enters into an agreement with Mr. B that you can use my property. In fact, B was inclined to have this particular property. So Mr. A and B enters into an agreement whereby Mr. A tells to Mr. B, well, if you are interested in having my property, you can use it, say for 10 years. So let us say an agreement has taken place. A and B agreed that this property will be used by B at least for 10 years. Correct? 10 years. A and B enters into an agreement whereby A allows Mr. B to use this property for 10 years without any of his what we call interference during these 10 years. Try to understand, there is a difference between normal renting and leases. This first point should be absolutely clear. You must have gone through what we call newspaper, and generally in the newspaper often we find actually scattered are various ads, especially what we call with respect to premises. You must have seen that banks, financial institution and big organization, they insist upon the fact that we need space on leases. Why do not actually they insist upon normal renting? Reason being is that in case of normal renting, actually owner has the right to interfere. Correct? However, in case of leases, during the lease period or the agreed period, owner cannot interfere into what we call any of the acts of the user. That means the user will use the property as if he himself happens to be the real owner of the what we call property, at least during the lease period. So in this particular case, let us say A and B enters into an agreement of lease. Correct? Number one, whereby it is stated that Mr. A will allow Mr. B to use this property for 10 years. This 10 years is nothing but it is lease period. Is it clear to you? This is the first point. Needless to add that Mr. B is your user. Mr. B is user of the property while Mr. A is owner of the property. Correct? Number one, agreement is that Mr. B will use this property for 10 years. We further presume that this particular property which A has let out to Mr. B or has given to Mr. B on lease carries an economic life of 15 years. This property carries an economic life of 15 years. What we mean by economic life? Economic life means the life over which this particular asset can be used economically. Economically here means it can what we call give us some benefits. So life of this particular asset, in fact economic life of this particular asset we presume is actually 15 years. Is it clear to you? Economic life is 15 years. However, lease period is of 10 years. Mr. A has given this property to Mr. B on lease for what we call 10 years. Why generally the parties insist upon lease, I have made it clear. Because in such cases, generally the owner will not have any right to interfere, at least during the lease period, and in substance, in the lease period, this person, user, will use this property as if he himself happens to be the owner of this particular property. These things should be absolutely clear, at least at this particular stage. Correct? Now we move over to the other part. Now because I own a property, obviously I am not going to let out my property virtually free of cost. I will never say to the other fellow, okay, you use it for 10 years and don't give me a single penny. Is it possible in practical life? It is definitely not possible. We presume that there is an agreement that you will use this property for 10 years, but at the same time, you means the user. You will pay me means owner. Correct? You will pay me during this lease period periodically some payments, better known as series of payments. Series of payments. Mr. A let out the property on lease for 10 years. Agreement is that during these 10 years, Mr. B will make some payments better known as series of payment, and generally these series of payments are periodic payment, and generally it is annual payment, although it could be what we call with the mutual consensus. It could be monthly payment, it could be bi-monthly payment, but general presumption is that payments are what we call annual. So each year during these 10 years, each year Mr. B will pay some amount to Mr. A. So these are the simple things which I just talked about. In fact, each one of you are very well aware of all these things. Where is the what we call remote? Because it has become a little bit more chilly, I will have to adjust the temperature. Okay, now it is okay. As you know, nowadays we are recording the sessions sitting from our house itself, so that is the comfortability area also, but at the same time there are some problems you must have seen actually when I am recording. Generally, I'm not accustomed to what we call recording while sitting. So first of all, I'm sitting, number one. Number two, actually a lot of adjustments need to be done, correct? But anyway, it's a makeshift arrangement. But still on our part, we have done everything within our reach to make it as good as the sessions which we generally are used to. But in spite of that, on the content area, we will definitely leave no stone unturned, correct? So we are simply recapping at this moment. We haven't yet started Ind AS 116. We are simply recapping the what we call things which we have already done. But we are recapping it in a manner as if we never did it, correct? So Mr. A happens to be owner of the property, B is the user. Agreement is with respect to lease that Mr. A will allow Mr. B to use his property for 10 years. That is a mutually agreed period of time. Although the economic life of the asset is 15, but asset has been given to what we call Mr. B for use for 10 years. Correct? Of course, during these 10 years, the user will have to make a series of payment to Mr. A. After having gone through this particular part, now please pay attention. That means whatever I have discussed, I can say that we have discussed Mr. A. Mr. A, he is the owner of the property. That means Mr. A is lessor. The owner of the property is known as lessor. Number one, this is the first point I discussed. Lessor. Number one. Of course, the property has been given to the user. The user is known as lessee. L-E-S-S-E. The user is known as lessee. This is the second concept which we learn. And of course, the agreed period for which the owner has given the property to the user for use, this agreed period, which in this case happens to be 10 years, will be known as lease period. So this 10 years, in this particular case, this is the third point, is known as lease period. What is lease period? You must know now, correct? This is lease period. Of course, for use of this particular property, the user will pay us some periodic payment, better known as series of payment, and generally these payments are annual payments, and this series of payment is known as either lease rentals. This is the fourth point. Lease rentals. These are known as lease rentals or lease payments or lease payments. From the perspective of the owner, it will be known as lease rentals, and from the perspective of the lessee, the user, it will be known as lease payments. Is it clear to you? Of course, in practical life, whenever two businessmen or two industrialists or two entrepreneurs enter into an agreement, they are not going to have what we call agreement in orally. They would like to have the agreement in black and white. That means a written agreement. So the document which contains the lease agreement, the document, where will I write? Okay, I will write it this way. Let us say terms of lease I will mark it this way. Fifth, are written in a document so that no party can backtrack from the originally agreed terms and conditions. So terms of agreement. Terms of agreement are generally written in a document, better known as lease deed or simply leases. Is it clear to you? So these are the normal things which one should know before one start off with what we call concepts of leases. So that means if I would now ask you what exactly is the concept of leases, correct? So concept of leases, this can be now termed as our sixth point. Just to recap the things. Sixth point, concept of lease. Under the concept of lease, under the concept of lease, owner of the asset, under the concept of lease, owner of the asset, that is lessor, owner of the asset, that is lessor, allows the user, that is lessee, to use, I'll keep this sheet now here. So under the concept of what we call leases, the owner of the asset or lessor allows the user to use the asset write in bracket generally in the capacity of owner, don't close it, of owner. That means the user will use the asset during the lease period as if he himself happens to be the owner of the asset, to use the asset for mutually agreed period of time, better known as lease period. Mutually agreed period of time, better known as lease period, better known as lease period, against a series of payments, write in bracket periodic payments, series of payment, write in bracket periodic payments. Correct? Such payments are known as lease rentals or lease payments. Generally we use the term lease payments only. However, just to make the point a little bit more clear, the person who will receive generally or may refer to it as lease rentals, and person who is paying will refer to it as lease payments. You have done all these things in the past. I'm simply recapping the things, correct? Now, after having good look over the concepts like what we call lessor, lessee, lease term, economic life, series of payments, and what we call lease document, now we move over to the fact that generally in practical life, or as per the standards which earlier used to govern, Remember, we are recapping the things. We are recapping the what we call issues given in what we call guidelines given in what we call AS 19 or Ind AS 17. Correct? So, as per AS 19 or Ind AS 17, leases are classified into, in fact this is our 7th point, leases are, don't think it is a waste of time, because all these things you would need later on also, and at the time I am not going to recap. Remember one thing, so that is the reason actually you need to pay attention and write down each and every word, otherwise later on you will confront some difficulties. Is it clear to you or not? So as per AS 19 or Ind AS 17, leases are categorized or broadly classified into, as you know, into A, finance lease, and B, operating lease. We know that leases are broadly classified into finance leases and operating leases. Correct? We have done it in the past. Let me check my cartridge. It's okay. Pen is okay, but not writing with flow. Anyway. So, leases are broadly classified into finance leases and operating leases. So, what exactly are what we call finance leases or operating leases? We need to have an idea regarding that. Correct? So, finance leases. If you remember, because you have studied all these things, finance leases. A finance lease is one in which A, all the associated risk and rewards are transferred. If you remember, all the associated risk and rewards have been transferred. Okay, I will write here. All the risk and rewards have been transferred. Suppose if I own vast tracts of land, or what we call say coal mines, and I let it out on lease to somebody. Generally, because I am a owner of a coal mine, so I am letting it out to somebody. So quite obviously, the expectation is that that person will extract coal. Now let us say tomorrow, after having taken that tract of what we call coal mine, the suddenly owner finds that instead of coal, he is able to extract gold over there. So it is a reward. Now owner cannot claim that. So that is my point. That means all the associated risk and rewards have been transferred. That means once the asset has been delivered, so whether it brings risks, that is disadvantages, or it brings rewards, that is advantages, that will be handled by the user, and owner will not have any stake in it. Correct? That is what we mean by that. I have already told you. Under leases, generally, the user will use the asset as if he himself happens to be the owner of the asset. Remember one thing, correct? So all the associated risk and rewards have been transferred. We are talking about finance leases. And B, period of lease is generally 60% or more of economic life. What I mean to say is that total economic life of the asset is 15 in the example which I just took, and lease period is 10. If I will compute the percentage, definitely it will be 60% or above. That means for a major period, I am allowing you the use of asset. Total economic life is 15, correct? Exactly half is 7.5, but I am giving it to you to use it for 10 years. That means for a major part. So such type of leases are categorized as finance leases. Remember one thing, if any of the characteristic, not all, if any of the characteristic is satisfied, that is generally considered as finance lease. And similarly, pay attention, because we will need all these things later on also. Don't think that this is something you have done in the past so you won't need it later on. That is not the case. Only thing is that you might have forgotten. That is why we are recapping this part also before we begin up with what we call India's 116. So right now, present value of minimum lease payment. This is the word which we are going to use so often during the course of this particular standard. Present value of minimum lease payments. Present value of minimum lease payment covers a significant part of fair value of the asset, at the inception date, INCEPTION, inception date. What does it mean? Let us say, I am stretching the same example. Let us say agreement took place on 1/4/21. On this date, the owner gives the asset to the user that now you use it for 10 years. Correct? The date on which agreement takes place and parties become committed to adhere to those agreement. Correct? Then that date is considered as an inception date. Inception means starting date. We presume inception date is 1/4/21. Now just think for a while. From the perspective of the owner, where is the scale? There is no scale. Okay. I presume, just to simplify the model, I presume on this date, the fair value of the asset, honestly speaking, fair value generally is more or less equal to cost of the asset. Fair value, generally it is nothing but cost of the asset. But still, we will write fair value only. Let us say fair value of the asset on this particular date is near about, let us say 10 lakhs. How much? 10 lakhs. Fair value is near about 10 lakhs. Is it clear to you? This asset has got an economic life of 15 years, but don't forget the agreement. We have given it for use by the user for a 10 years period of time. We presume that this is the lease period. Correct? This is the 10th year. That means the first year is ending here, second year is ending here, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh, eighth, ninth, okay, I will make one more, 10th year. For this 10 years period, I have allowed you to use this particular asset. Obviously, I am charging something from you, correct? Of course, periodic payment. During these 10 years, I will charge something of you. Quite obviously, no one will give you what we call asset at free of cost. You will have to churn out some money for the use of that particular asset. But point try to understand. Suppose you happen to be the owner of this particular asset and presume myself to be the lessee. You are the owner, I am the lessee. I am asking for this particular asset. Agreement has taken place. Now, I am the lessee, you are the owner. And on this particular date, the asset has been delivered to me. This asset in your eyes is having a fair value of 10 lakh, you are the owner. Because this asset is having nearly a cost or fair value of 10 lakh, quite obviously, inside of the herd, the owner would not like to have any losses, because ultimately, in reality, at least for 10 years of time, owner is getting parted with the ownership. You can say it this way around. What I mean to say is that Mr. A is giving this asset to Mr. B, and in the eyes of Mr. A, this particular asset is commanding a fair value of 10 lakh, let us say, or cost of the asset is 10 lakh. So at least somewhere inside the heart of Mr. A, there will be a feeling that during this 10 years of time, at least he will have an amount which should not be less than 10 lakh. Are you getting my point or not? Because cost of your asset happens to be 10 lakh. Why the hell in the world actually you would like to bear any losses? So quite obviously you would settle some annual charge in such a manner that the total sum of that at least is equal to 10 lakh, or perhaps what we call bigger than that. Let us say on such hunches and on such groundings, let us say annual charge set up is 12 lakh. That means I'm presuming that each year owner will give what we call, let us say, how much asset value I have considered 10 lakh, I will consider it at 100 lakh, correct? Okay, suppose it is 100 lakh. Now, owner has decided that he is not going to undergo any losses. So he settles that he tells the lessee that you pay me each year 12 lakh and so on during the lease period. So this is the agreement. Each year for 10 years, correct, you will pay me. This is the end of the first year, this is second year, this is third year, this is fourth, this is fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth and 10th. Now could you tell me how much, at least in absolute terms means the figure which is given as it is, without distorting that figure. So in absolute terms, presuming that the user has used the asset for 10 years and he has paid every year without any default, without any fault, so how much do you expect the owner to receive? Quite obviously 12 lakh into 10, that is 120 lakhs. 120 lakhs. What the point you need to understand at this level, first of all, you need to actually open up in a big manner all the chords of your mind. There is no point in studying it superficially. Try to understand the gamut. So often in the past you have gone through these wordings, fair value and cost. Now you tell me very honestly, how much did you spare any time to think why actually he is demanding this much of amount? So generally this amount which is demanded by the owner as series of payment is such that the total sum of that over the period of the lease becomes almost equal to, or perhaps equal to, the what we call fair value, so that at least owner will not have any losses. Are you getting my point or not? Now, generally in practical life, what happens? See here. Okay, before I move further, let me elaborate this particular point, because I was elaborating the point. Present value of minimum lease payment covers a significant part of the fair value of the asset. Now, in absolute terms, we are going to receive, no doubt about that, 12 lakh each year, correct? That means at the end of the first year, I am going to receive 12 lakh. At the end of second year, again, I am going to receive 12 lakh and so on. 7, 8, 9, 10. I do not want to take any risk. That is the reason actually I am quite inclined to actually give a bit of time in the initial stages just to save the time later on. Because initially if the things become more clearer, more easier it will be not only for you but for me too actually to make you understand the things. That is why once again I have written 12 lakhs. Now this total is nothing but absolute total, 120 lakhs. This is the absolute total, correct? Now, you know better than I, because you have financial management and SFM. You also know that owner will receive these payment over a period of 10 years. But on the inception date, he want to know what will be the amount, actual amount which he would be receiving. So for that we compute the present values, correct? These payments, these are lease payment, no doubt about that. These are lease payments. So we will compute the present values of these payments with the help of what we call, with the help of discount factors, correct? With the help of discount factors. Now presuming, please try to understand. Now presuming that the present value is only 95 lakh, correct? I will multiply these things with the discount factors, and whatever values I will get the present value. So I have straight away written 95 lakh. Each one of you can understand it easily. So what my point is that even though in absolute terms I will receive 120 lakh over a period of what we call 10 years, but the fact is that in reality, in substance, I am receiving only 95 lakhs. But cost of my asset was 100 lakh, or fair value was 100. And I'm still receiving 95. So first of all, you need to understand that these payments, minimum lease payment, present value of lease payment is covering substantially the whole amount of the fair value. It is not necessary that you should get equal to 100 or more than that. Any figure which is almost equal to it, generally more than 90% or 90%. That means present value of the payment. These are the payments which you are going to receive, and their present value is 95. So the present value of the payment, if it is almost complete or almost quite complete to the what we call fair value of the asset on the initial date, then we say that it is a case of finance lease. You must understand, we are going to use these terms later on, correct? Don't worry about that. So after having taken care of what we call finance leases, now we will talk about B. We have talked about finance lease. That was point number 8. So point number 9, I write operating lease. We are simply recapping at this particular moment. Remember one thing, it is very important and your focus needed with high intensity. Operating leases. Later on, we are not going to recap all these things. I'm telling you time and again and cautioning you. You can see the what we call request or pleading inside the voice also. So operating leases, quite obviously finance lease is one wherein what we call owner transfer all the what we call risk and rewards, correct? And the lessee during the lease period will use the asset as if he himself is the owner. However, in case of operating leases are those, generally operating leases are those which are not finance leases. But just to simplify, operating leases are those where no risk and rewards are transferred. No risk and rewards are transferred. And also lease period is generally less than 60%, of total economic life, I do not want to dwell further. Actually, under operating lease, in substance, owner will remain owner. Unlike the finance lease, once the asset is given, correct, or when the right to use the asset is given to the lessee will use the asset as if he himself happens to be the owner. However, in case of operating leases, first of all, operating leases is generally for a shorter period. Number one, no risk and rewards are being transferred. That means generally, in substance, owner is not getting imparted with the ownership. He will remain the owner. Is it clear to you? That means here the user will use the asset in the capacity of a tenant or simply as a user. He will not use the asset in the capacity of a owner. Remember one thing, and that is perhaps the reason why operating leases are very less popular in practical life, correct? Generally in practical life, to be very honest with you, 99% cases are of finance leases. But we are studying this concept as per AS 19 and Ind AS 17. We haven't touched upon what we call Ind AS 116 yet. But at the same time, you should not neglect this part. Time and again I have been harping up almost upon the same string. Harping upon the same string is a phrase. It means actually repeating the same things, correct? Reason is that later on also we are going to use these terms. That doesn't mean that once these terms have been used, these have become redundant or useless. Nothing like that. So operating leases are those where no risk and rewards are transferred, and generally in substance the owner will remain the owner even during the lease period, correct? Now we come over to the accounting aspect, which you should know because ultimately it will also help you later on, as I am stressing. Now we come over to the accounting aspects. Accounting aspects. Now as far as accounting aspects are concerned, pay attention. First of all, we will consider accounting aspects for finance leases. Finance leases. Because there are always two parties involved. So even under finance leases, first we will take the case of one, lessee, the user. So first we will see the books of lessee, correct? Accounting aspect with respect to finance leases in the books of lessee. Now you presume you are lessee. You have taken a particular asset, correct, for a particular specific period of time. During that particular period of time, okay, we will use this case itself. I have taken the asset for 10 years and each year I am supposed to pay you what we call 12 lakh, no doubt about that. Now the point here is that I am paying you 12 lakh, no doubt about that, but in absolute terms also, during 10 years period of time, it will be equal to 120. But I will be paying 120 to you over a period of 10 years. Over a period of 10 years. In absolute terms, I am paying you 120, but in reality, actually, how much I am paying you. So I will compute the present value of my payments as I did. Imaginarily, I presume that the present value of 120 is equal to 95 lakh. So because Ind AS, they stress upon the facts, they stress upon the substance, they want reality to be factored in rather than the superficiality. So that is the reason actually Ind AS states that the lessee will recognize the liability not at 120, rather at 95. What my point is, try to understand first of all, where is the rough sheet? Rough sheet is not there. Okay, I will show it this way. Suppose I will write, but let me actually explain it. I am paying you in absolute terms 120 lakhs. However, effectively I am paying you how much? 95, because the present value of 120 is 95. I am paying you 120 over a time period of 10 years, but actually the present value is 95. That means this 120 is equal to 95. So what about the rest? If I take the difference is I think 25. This difference, standard says that in reality you are paying 95 and you are paying 25 extra because you are using a facility of 10 years. And each one of us know, at least at this level, that any payment which is a charge against the time is known as finance charge or is known as interest. So indirectly it means every year when lessee will make the payment of 12 lakh, it means he is paying something towards this, that is known as liability, and something towards this, that is known as finance charges. So as far as lessee is concerned, initially he will recognize the what we call leases, because when he takes some asset under finance lease, then two things are happening. One, his asset are increasing because he will use the asset as if he himself happens to be the owner of the asset, but at the same time there is an increase in the liability. So that is why lessee initially, when initially means on the inception date, will recognize the what we call asset and liability. He will recognize the leases as an asset and as a liability, but at what value? At present value. Is it clear to you? That is the point. So I will write here, lessee, comma, initially shall recognize the asset, recognize the lease as an asset and liability, because his assets are increasing, but at the same time a liability is also arising. Correct? So that is why he will recognize this lease as an asset and as a liability. Asset account debit to liability account. At what value? At present value of minimum lease payment. The lease payment you can also write minimum lease payments. Minimum lease payments. So initially he will recognize the asset and liability not at absolute value but at present value, which we have considered 95. Because we are paying 25 more, besides, because ultimately we are paying 120 in absolute terms, 95 is the liability, but 25 for finance charges. Indirectly it means every year when I'm making a payment of 12 lakh as lease payment, this lease payment is what we call payment not only towards the principal sum, that is liability, but some part of this is also meant for what we call finance charges. Instead of interest we call it finance charges. So each year, or I will write, lease payments will be bifurcated. Lease payments, lessee will make the annual payments, so lease payments, write in bracket annual. So annual lease payments shall be bifurcated or shall be divided, whatever you may like to write, shall be bifurcated into what? A, payments towards principal sum, that is liability. Payments towards principal. Payments towards principal. And B, payments towards finance charges. Payments towards finance charges, which is 25 in this case. That means each year your annual payment comprises of two elements, payments towards liability and payments towards, as I said, what we call finance charges. Correct? Now, besides that, because lessee is using the asset in substance as a owner, and he will reflect this lease asset on lease in his financial books also, so he will obviously be expected to charge depreciation. That means he can claim depreciation. Lessee shall also charge depreciation. Correct? Of course, the finance charges and the depreciation which we have incurred this year, ultimately we will debit it to what we call our statement of P&L. So these are the things which you should know. Now we come to the lesser. Finance lease. Now we are coming over to the lesser. What I wrote earlier, 1. So I will write now 2. Lesser. It means accounting aspects in the books of lesser under finance leases. Under finance leases. This part is important, try to understand it, because we will see that Ind AS 16 hasn't changed anything from the perspective of the lessor. That is the reason actually I want you to actually pay attention towards this particular part. Are you getting my point or not? We will see later on that Ind AS 16 hasn't made any what we call changes to the accounting in the books of lessor, so that is why you have to pay more attention. We will use all these things later on also, that is why I am telling you. Now you presume you are the lessor. As a owner, what you expect to receive in this case, I tell you. Because you are the lessor, correct? And you are giving this asset to somebody for 10 years of time, of course with an annual payment of 12 lakh, of course in your kitty, no doubt about that. But if I am going to ask you in accounting language, what is your gross investment? Before we turn to accounting, you must understand these wording, gross investments. In order to understand gross investment, you need to visualize what you are going to receive. What you are going to receive, you are the owner. You are going to receive, please pay attention, you are going to receive what we call lease payments. You are going to receive lease payments or lease rentals, whatever you may like to say, correct? You are going to receive lease rentals or lease payment. Please pay attention here. I would like to actually make a point clear. Actually, when we use the word lease payment, here lease payment of course stands for the annual payments which the lessee will pay or the lessor will receive. But lease payment not only includes the lease payment, not only includes the payments towards leases, it also includes, see here I am using a word, gross residual value, GRV we call it, gross residual value. Because in practical life what happens, as an owner you want to play a safe game. You may tell to the lessee initially itself. Generally in practical life such sort of what we call agreements are entered into, and wherein such clauses are inserted because lessor do not want to take the risk, at least he wouldn't like to be under any sort of losses. Are you getting my point or not? Generally owner will receive lease payment and gross residual value. What exactly is the gross residual value? Gross residual value is nothing. Here, the lessor is telling to the lessee that you are using the asset for 10 years period of time, and almost as an owner, at least you give me a guarantee that when you are going to return this particular asset will have this much of value. That means lessor as a owner will not only get the lease payment, but he will get some value also. That means he is getting his asset back, which is having this much of gross value. Generally, lessor asks the lessee to give an estimate of the what we call gross residual value. I give you an example just to simplify the case. Let us say in this case I presume that asset has been given to the lessee. I will explain it this way so that you understand it. Suppose lease term is for 5 years only. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct? For simplicity's sake, lease period is for 5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lessor is asking the lessee to pay each year 3 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 3 lakhs. So how much we are going to receive? 15 lakhs, correct? 15 lakh is the lease payment. No doubt, lease rentals you can call it, correct? You will receive what we call 3 into 5 because lease period I have considered 5, correct? Let us say it's a new example. So you are receiving 15 lakh worth of payment in absolute terms, quite obviously. But at the end of the 5th year, you will not only receive the lease rentals, you will also receive some amount known as gross residual value. Gross residual value. I presume that gross residual value was mutually agreed at, let us say, 5 lakhs. Lessee had committed that this asset will command a value of 5 lakh. Okay, I will make it a little bit less. I will make it, let us say 2 lakh. Correct? Because we are charging a rent of 3 lakh, that will not look nice. Anyway, as per the agreement, gross residual value is 2 lakh. It also means that from the perspective of the owner, you will receive during these 5 years 3 into 5, 15 lakh plus 2 lakh. That means 3 into 5 lakhs. 3 into 5 years. 15 lakh plus gross residual value is 2 lakhs. Correct? GRV is 2 lakhs. Now, what happens? When you got back the asset, it could be a possibility that lessor would like to assess whether this particular asset is really commanding a value of 2 lakh or not, because generally owners are quite susceptible, especially with respect to their precious items. Now, this property is a precious item from the viewpoint of the lessor. He received what we call 3 lakh for 5 years. He was happy, but he also received the asset back of rupees 2 lakh as per the commitment. But he wants to make himself sure that this asset is really having a gross value of 2 lakh. So he goes to the market, and he was having a hunch that perhaps the value may not be equal to 2 lakh. But when he goes to market, he finds that the residual value is actually 3 lakhs, more than his expectations. Obviously, he will feel very happy, but in accounting language, we will call it that this residual value is having two components. One guaranteed residual value. I have written gross. Okay, gross or guaranteed residual value. I'm extremely sorry. Sometime actually what happens, wordings, guaranteed or gross residual value. Correct? Now, guaranteed residual value, because it is guaranteed by the what we call lessee, but in practical life it can be guaranteed by a third party, but regarding that we will talk about later. I don't want to confuse you, at least at this particular stage. Correct? Now, GRV, guaranteed residual value, happens to be rupees 2 lakh. When he goes to the market, to his utter surprise, he finds that the residual value is actually 3 lakh. Oh my God, it is exceeding my expectation. I feel very happy. So in accounting jargon or in accounting language, we will call it unguaranteed residual value, UGRV, unguaranteed residual value, which is 1 lakh, because residual value is 3 lakh, out of which guarantee given is worth rupees 2, so that means 1 I am getting extra. So as an owner, you need to understand this, very, very important. As an owner, what do you expect to get? In this case, you will be getting in absolute term lease rentals or payment, each year 3 lakh for 5 years, so 3 into 5, that is 15 lakhs. Plus you will get a guaranteed residual value of 2 lakh, and plus you will also get unguaranteed residual value. You will also get unguaranteed residual value of rupees 1 lakh. That means instead of this, you are getting 15 plus 2 plus 1, that is 18 lakhs. Now you try to understand. That means when we say gross investment, I will write the accounting aspects in the books of lessor shortly. Don't worry about that. First, let me make you understand the things. That means whenever I will use the word gross investment, you need to understand that gross investment basically comprises of 3 elements, that is lease rentals plus guaranteed residual value. Logically, lease rental plus guaranteed residual value are combinedly known as lease payment. You must understand these facets. These are combinedly known as lease payment or minimum lease payments. Are you getting my point or not? So whenever we will use the word minimum lease payment, so minimum lease payment is always combination of lease rental plus GRV. Is it clear to you? And it also includes unguaranteed residual value. Unguaranteed residual value is almost like a lottery for what we call investor that is lessor. Now, you know that gross investment is nothing but it is minimum lease payment. Minimum lease payment means lease rentals plus GRV and plus UGRV, unguaranteed residual value. In this case, minimum lease payment, because I will have to now include 2 lakh also, so 15 plus 2, that is 17 lakh. And unguaranteed residual value is 1, so gross investment will become equal to 18 lakh. This is my gross investment, which I will recover over 5 years period of time. But try to understand this point. This will not give me a better perspective that I am receiving 18 lakh, because I am getting all this payment over a span of 5 years. So what I need to do? I need to find out the present value. Now, if I find the present values, if I find the present value of minimum lease payment and present value of unguaranteed residual value, that means I have found present value of gross investment. May I say it this way round or not? Have you comprehended it? The point which I am trying to nail down in your minds. I hope none among you are sleeping. Correct? Is it clear to you? And it means, see here, just to make you understand one word, I have taken such a long route, but I hope that I have instilled the point which I really aspiring to. So it means, if henceforth I will use the word net investment, you should be able to understand without making me to make you understand. So net investment. What is net investment? You heard this word so often in the past. But once again, I am not going to ask you how many among you were able to understand it. Net investment is nothing but the present value of your gross investment. If you will compute the present value of all these things, or directly what we call you can compute the present value of minimum lease payment plus present value of unguaranteed residual value, you will have at your disposal net investment. So if somebody asks you what is net investment from the perspective of the lessor, these are the terms which are used from the perspective of the lessor, net investment. So net investment means the present value of the minimum lease payment, present value of the gross investment. Or if I will stretch it, if I will bifurcate, I can say net investment is equal to present value of minimum lease payment plus present value of unguaranteed residual value. Is it clear to you? So just for the sake of understanding, because this total is near about 18 lakh, let us say present value is equal to 15 lakh. So the lessor will recognize in his books, because I have already told you that once he has given the asset as a finance lease, that means he is no more a owner at least for next 10 years. So if you are not a owner of an asset now, you will have to de-recognize the asset, but at the same time you will recognize the receivable, because you have to receive, correct, net amount of 15 lakh. Of course you will receive absolute amount of 18 lakh, that means extra 3 lakh you will receive. That is nothing but your finance charges or income, correct? So now we are in a position to write that lessor shall recognize, lessor shall recognize finance lease in his books by debiting the receivables, debiting the receivable means a new asset is cropping up, but an asset is also going out, because he has to receive now, so we call it receivables. By debiting the receivables, it is a new asset, and crediting what? Crediting the asset given on lease, the asset which he has given on finance lease. By crediting the asset given on lease, indirectly it means this asset is getting de-recognized, because my entry is receivable account debit to asset account, asset on lease account. Because asset on lease is getting credited, that means that asset is no more in my books, at least for the next 10 years. Correct? So this is how the lessor will recognize. Also, lessor shall bifurcate the lease rentals. So whatever absolute payments he is receiving, like lessee, he will also bifurcate, because each year he is receiving something towards the receivable and something towards the income, because finance charge is an income for the lessor. Also, lessor shall bifurcate the lease rentals into A, receipts towards what? Receipts towards receivables, and B, receipts towards finance charges. So these aspects you should be very well aware of, especially the concept of gross investment and net investment. We are not going to talk about it at any point of time later on during the entire course of this, what we call standard. Correct? Now, we have taken the accounting aspects for what we call finance leases. Now, accounting for operating leases, which is not very long. So with that, we will recap every facet. Accounting aspects of operating leases. Lessee. Because lessee this time has taken the asset on operating lease. In substance, he is not the owner. He is not going to recognize any asset. So simply, whatever payment he is making, he will treat those payment as an expense. Correct? So payments shall be treated as an expense and debited to P&L. So nothing to actually write here. Payments shall be treated as expense. Shall be treated as expense and debited to P&L account. No need to write it. Similarly, lessor, because lessor hasn't got imparted with the ownership, that is the reason lessor will recognize receipts as income. So very simple accounting aspects, correct, as far as operating is concerned. So lessor shall treat receipts or rentals as rental income, as if somebody is paying the rent. So these are the things which you need to have a good knowledge of before we proceed to what we call begin the Ind AS 116, of course, which we are going to do, but in the next session. And in the next session we are going to in reality start Ind AS 116. So on such note, we finish it up. Hope that this recap must have come up to your expectations, and at least you must have what we call derived some benefit out of it. On such note, we close this one.